Hi, I'm Amy from Trees Not Tees. We offer race participants the chance to turn down the finisher's tee at the end of a race and plant a tree instead. And today we are talking to multi-record breaking ultra runner, John Kelly. Hi, John.
Hey there.
How are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Yes, all good, thank you. Have you managed to get much running in this week? How's that gone this week for you?
I'm in a bit of a down period at the moment, taking a bit of time to recover and get things sorted before I gear up for some winter plans and on to next year. So a short little kind of off-season break for me right now.
Okay. Is there anything coming up that you can talk about, or are these plans under wraps at the moment?
So I'd like to go back and give a shot this year. These were my original plans last year, and COVID put an end to them. I wanted to do the 3 rounds, revisit those again, Patty Buckley, Bob Graham, and Charlie Ramsey, and do them all midwinter unsupported,
Right.
which would be quite the different experience for me. Good fun to be out there for that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes, and I'm thinking next month maybe. So I had this idea a while back. One of our local trails here, the Butcombe Trail in the Mendip Hills, was originally created to connect the 6 Butcombe brewery pubs in the Mendips.
Great.
And I was thinking of trying to organize an actual 45-mile pub crawl.
Amazing.
To hit all that in one day. So we'll see if I can get that sorted.
Oh, that sounds great. So you said you're having a bit of a down period at the moment. You were in Italy last month. Was it last month now?
Yeah, it was right out about a month ago.
And this seems to have been the summer of DNFs, unfortunately. So how did that go?
Yeah, so not well. It was I was feeling pretty horrible about 50 miles in, and unable to keep absolutely anything down. No fluids, no food, absolutely nothing, even after a significant break of trying to rest and reset my body for many hours. Thought it was maybe dehydration, thought it was maybe a combination of that plus the altitude. It was a bit warmer than expected.
Okay.
Turned out that I had a case of rhabdo, which was quite the we'll just say I'm glad that I stopped.
Right.
When I did.
Right.
She can do some serious damage to vital organs with that. And I still had 150 miles to go, so that would not have ended well.
No. Okay.
And it's one of those things where I've gone farther, I've gone harder, I've done stuff in hotter weather on worse terrain. 50 miles is really, especially at that pace, not much for me.
Right.
And so it's just a reminder that there are all sorts of unique combinations of factors that can lead to totally unexpected results in ultras, and we've got to be aware of those.
Absolutely. How do you go forward from that then? I mean, physically and mentally, how do you go forward from that and on to these sort of challenges that you're talking about?
Well, as soon as I kind of figured out what it was a matter of chugging water and getting electrolytes in endlessly all week until symptoms went away.
Okay.
And then slowly easing back into things. And I did get my blood work done, or bloods, as I think you call it here, which it was kind of fortunate. I had a trip back to the US to take care of a few family things, and I got that done here because got that done there. Actually, everything came back clear. And so should be good to ramp back up, and no long-term damage done, and just always have it in mind going forward, and a very good reminder to ensure that I am hydrating properly and that I'm preparing myself for the unique sets of conditions that I'll face in any given event.
Definitely. So for you, it's mainly coming back from that, you're mainly looking at the physical side of it in terms of getting yourself back to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once I was 100% sure that I'm okay physically, no long-term damage done, then I can get going again, and slowly. And at that point, I think it transforms. It's one of those things that starts out as a mental obstacle, but then once you get past it, it's a mental advantage to have that extra reminder in the future to again ensure that I'm doing things properly, and hydrating and taking care of the other things out there on one of these challenges that not only help prevent things like rhabdo, but also help me run faster.
Right. Yeah. Just really taking care, being very careful to take care of yourself.
Yep.
Fantastic. Great. Well, yeah, good. Great stuff for getting past that. And yeah, good luck in those things that you've got coming up. You've run a lot in the UK and in the US. I mean, do they feel the same? Is the culture the same, or are there distinct differences between like UK ultra running and US ultra running?
So for me, where I was in the US, there are some pretty significant differences, and I would say that the biggest is just that the US is obviously much more geographically dispersed. You've got your East Coast ultra runners, and your Flagstaff group, and your Boulder group, and your people in California, and it's these kind of local communities. And here in the UK, that there is obviously still some of that, but pretty much everything is accessible by everyone, and so there's these giant confluences at places like the Lake District, and having the Bob Graham round, that there are always people around that will get out and support that, and it leads to much more in the way of community efforts, of these supported group runs, where in the US it's much more solo, self-supported, unsupported type runs.
Okay. And people running in those communities in completely different terrains to others. So I would imagine have different skill sets in terms of their running across the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously there are some of the bigger races that draw people from across the country in the US, but the terrain and the challenges faced in the Southeast, where I'm from, are definitely much different than what you would see in the Rockies, for example. You're going to have much more technical terrain with roots and rocks and leaves, and no visibility, and high heat and humidity in the summer, versus in the Rockies you're going to have to deal with more elevation, typically, altitude issues, things of that nature.
Yeah. We don't have quite that much variation over here. So if we can talk a little bit about sustainability, just thinking about that for a minute now, do you think that you personally have made any changes to your running or even your lifestyle more generally over the last few years to try and be more sustainable?
Yeah, so I have made personal changes, and trying to be more cognizant of the decisions I make, whether it's the resources that I personally use, as far as transportation goes, what I consume, both in terms of literally consuming food, or the resources I consume, such as clothing and other goods. And then for me, the big factor is also being more aware of initiatives and where I spend my time and my energy as well as what I personally do, because at the end of the day, these things are going to require large scale top down change, as well as the sort of bottom up individual contributions. It doesn't matter if all of us go live in yurts and in the woods and live off self-sustaining farms, if there are still massive industries out there that are doing what they're doing. So it has to be a matter of voting with your voice and where you spend your money and where you invest your money as well, to bring about those sorts of changes.
So in terms of running then, or running events maybe, what would you be looking for, something to being offered to you in order for you to make that choice to go with that particular event or company?
So it's definitely a large incentive to see races that are doing the little things, partnering with companies like Tees, not Tease, having a sort of bring your own container policy for aid stations rather than the massive disposable cups and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of little things like that can certainly make the difference and be a factor. And again, voting with my own time and with my own race entry fees or whatever else, in order to give that extra support to efforts that are larger than myself, that are trying to accomplish good things out there.
Definitely. So, I mean, you're one of our amazing Tees Not Tease ambassadors, which is fantastic for us. Can you tell us why it is that you support what we're doing at Tees Not Tease?
So it's again another one of those little things that just it makes sense. You can. It doesn't take much effort at all to donate, to plant a tree, or to swap out a race shirt that you're never going to use or wear. Yeah. Of course there are some race shirts that are special and people want to have, but for the most part, they end up in a closet somewhere sitting around and never used. So it's something that it might be a small contribution, but it's almost at zero cost. So So why not? And then those small contributions do really add up. And so I've looked at that as not only a opportunity to switch something out for in races, but also just as a thank you of had trees planted for people that have supported me on some of my big challenges. I got my kids trees as stocking stuffers last Christmas, and it's just something that you can buy someone a tree in Scotland for less than you can buy them a drink at the pub. So exactly. Yeah, and it's I think in the long term a much cooler thing to have.
Yeah, it is a real actual tree. Yeah, absolutely. And we really massively appreciate having you on board with us for that. So if we can talk a little bit more about you, how on earth do you manage ultra running, a day job in technology, and 4 children is my question. I'd like to add my own slight suggestion to that. You are kind of married to a superwoman, so I would suggest that's definitely a key contributing factor.
Yeah, that is definitely one major factor, and it's been a matter of these things have fortunately all gradually developed over the past 6 or 7 years, in terms of ramping up my running and my seriousness and competitiveness of that, and the types of races that I'm doing. Ramping up the responsibility of my job, and ramping up the number of kids that I have. So that has afforded me the ability my wife and I both, to learn as we grow and to get better at things, hopefully at the same rate that we need to be better at them. And there are a lot of efficiencies that we've developed, a lot of, I don't remember the last time I used a car to get to work. It was probably like 2015, maybe. I've run or biked or occasionally here in Bristol taken the bus as my commute for many years, and that knocks two birds out with one stone.
Absolutely.
In the post-COVID world, I've been running my oldest son to and from school. So again, get him to school, get my workout in at the same time, and he loves it.
He runs.
Yeah. So he started out for a while biking, and I was running, but now he has switched over to running.
Amazing.
So and he's doing quite well, and he's loving it. So it's finding little efficiencies like that, ways to get the family involved, and also cutting out everything else. I don't have any other hobbies. I'm not sitting around watching TV in the evening. Like those are the three things that I do.
Yeah.
And it generally, we have things to where it works well. But all of those things have their ebbs and flows.
Of course.
And as long as they're not hitting the peak all at the same time, then they fit together. But occasionally they do all hit the peak at the same time, and it's a bit of a mess.
But on the whole, it's being managed.
Right.
Okay, right. I have got some random questions for you, random forest runner. Is it true that you have a spreadsheet for comparing British and American snacks?
Yeah, it's not so much a comparison as it is just a menu for races and these other challenges that I do, so that when I stock up my my food for my pack or for the support points, so I'll have a good menu to choose from there.
So it is for your running fuel. I thought this was just a kind of strange interest and hobby. No, you are actually.
No, it's broken down into categories and calories and everything else. So it's not the normal food categories you would think.
Okay.
It's broken down kind of when, in my mind, what I think of when I'm out there.
Okay.
You get these cravings for these certain types of foods.
Okay.
And so I have categories like crunchy or salty.
Yep.
Or one category is pure sugar, where I have like jelly babies and maple syrup and things that are
just the real hit.
Just a giant direct shot of the good stuff.
And what's your favorite British snack?
Ooh, that's a tough one. The jelly babies are quite unique.
You don't get them in America?
No, we have the normal like little gummy worms and stuff like that, but those have a very different texture.
They do.
And mince pies are now available. My wife picked some up at the co-op the other day. So 2 months out from Christmas, that we've got 2 months of mince pie eating to look forward to. And then there are quite a number of chocolate bars that we don't have great equivalents for either. Turkish Delight is another one that I love that we don't have.
That's quite an obscure one. I think you're in the minority there with that one. Okay, thank you. Oh, I have one final question for you. I'm actually asking this one for a friend. When are you going back to America? He's just wanting to put some things in the diary.
So my original visa expires in November in like 3 weeks. So our applications are in to get those renewed. So if Boris lets me stay, I'll be or the Queen. I don't know which of those two. It's up to. I figure one of those two just personally signs off on it. but we're, COVID obviously changed everyone's plans these past 2 years. And so right now we're looking at sticking around until probably sometime next summer.
Next summer.
Yeah. So head back sometime in the school break, and there are still some challenges I want to do in that time, some unfinished business, and even after that, I'm sure that I will be back every once in a while to do some more adventuring.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Thanks ever so much, John. Thanks for coming on and talking to us. And it's been really great. And we really appreciate your working for us as an ambassador as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Have a good day.
You too.